Okie dokie. I think
should we switch?
Oh, we have to switch. Yes, we have to switch slightly. Sorry for that.
Hello there.
Hi there. My name is Jarek.
My name is Szymon.
Go here, maybe. That should be fine. Hi there. My name is Jarek. That's too small setup. Sorry for that. I need to maybe like this will be better. Sorry for that. I hope music is not too loud. Sound cut out. Can you hear us? Hello? Should be fine. Okay. Let's just sound is good. Okay, that's great. I hope the music is fine. That's good. Right. So welcome to special Emma. We've been choosing you for what it's going to be about a few years now, right?
Yeah, lots of teasers. Some people did catch on to the teasers, but
yeah. Oh yeah. Well, there was like.
Well, here we are finally.
Finally, that box was actually sitting on my desk for many years, and I think if you go back to watch any of the previous live Emma, that box was actually featured in it somewhere, just traveling around the office. Sometimes it was more visible, sometimes less visible, but yeah, it's finally we're quite happy to this announcement happened, and yep, we signed a deal with Blizzard on StarCraft. As always, I have some presentations, so we're gonna go through this. We're gonna go through a few slides. I'm guessing there's lots of you who never heard about us or don't know what we do and how we do. Great haircut, Szymon. Yes.
Thank you.
He's been forced to actually do that. Anyway, it's Amma, so ask me anything. You can drop the questions. We're going to be quite happy to answer them. As I mentioned, we have some slides ready. Now, on the bottom here, you can see on the page. So we have a proper landing page now, which is StarCraft-tmg.com, which stands for Tabletop Miniatures Game.com. Cool. Where should we start? Let's start maybe with slides, right? Oh, by the way, I want to show you something as well. We're going to go back to questions. Usually how we do, we go back and forth. So a few slides and then we're going to go to questions. I really hope that nothing will happen. Okay, so you see all of that. Even the that graphic there, which I've been using, that one is actually from StarCraft.
They can't see your mouse.
And they can't see my mouse. They can see my mouse now. So see that one? I had it for like 2 years almost. That is actually from StarCraft menu. See all those bits as well.
Yeah, all the hexes.
All the hexes as well. So and the color, blue color. So yeah, it's been actually out there, quite visible for quite some time. Archon Studio. We are currently 92 employees. Over 900 models designed. Actually, I would rather say almost 900 tools designed. Well, we're finishing at 750 right now, but in the pipeline there is quite a lot. 15 titles, slightly more now, several licensed products and 11 distributors worldwide. This slide is coming from, it's been done a few years ago, so I just want to show you, but some of the things here are actually outdated, I would say. But still relevant, obviously, quite important. So first few slides we're going to go through about Archon. I want to make sure that you know what we do, how we do. We are not typical licensed company. It means that we have several factors which will definitely going to help in the delivering this project and making this project happen and making sure it's being supported for many years. So one of them is we own our own manufacturing. So in a nutshell, we have 10 CNC machines, which we can create almost 250 tools a year. So plastic injection tools, obviously. What I mean by that is, it's a quick one. That's one sprue of miniatures. It's not StarCraft, by the way. Okay, I won't be showing you today no StarCraft miniatures. I can't.
Then already, yeah. We only have them in resin, I think.
Yes, we have them in resin. We have lots of masters, lots of scopes, but we cannot show them yet. That will happen at the next AMA, I think. But anyway, this is tool. This is basically how we call tool or sprue. So a capacity to make them, it's around about 250 every year. We have 10 injection machines with almost almost 4 million sprues per year. This is how many we can manufacture. And a large warehouse, 3,000 square meters currently, and with 2,000 additional square meters in construction, just next door to us. And we are already located in a new headquarters. That's that. What else there? Here's a small tour around the factory. I'll be playing this one and just play from the beginning. So quite proud about everything we have received, all the rewards from town, from government, from local. We've been supporting local initiatives. Models, we've done tons of plastic injection models, tons. We well known from Dungeons Laser. I think this is Dungeon Laser's line is the biggest line of miniatures out there. I think currently, I would say, obviously, except to any other IP products like
WizKids,
yeah. So,
but for fantasy, I think we're like pretty big.
So that is that's our engineering team. If I stop, I hope that's gonna be some blah blah blah. Anyway, that's our engineering team. This is where we design tools. We have 27 engineers inside across 2 different departments. Lots of injection, lots of CNC machines. So this is how we manufacture these tools. They've been done on the CNC machines. That's our injection machines. So that's how the product is manufactured. Bloop, and we have a sprue. Right, and we have a product. Small warehouse in this building. Obviously, the new warehouse has been built. This is a new process we introduced. It's called Prismacast. So Prismacast allows us to actually pre-paint sprues, and you may expect some pre-painted products as well with StarCraft, especially when we I'm thinking about terrain, so terrain being fully pre-painted for you. You won't have to pre-paint. Sprues and miniatures obviously is a part of the hobby. They need to be on the sprues and unpainted though, so that's that.
So no unpainted, no pre-painted miniatures for now?
No. There needs to be, it's a hobby product, so yeah. And that was our injection machine, which we called Demigorgon. And then if you go upstairs, here is some graphics from other IP products we've done over years. Here's Dungeon Lasers. Here we have Wolfenstein and Masters of the Universe and Heroes. So lots of people know us from different type of products, some of them from board games only. So there will be a board game, StarCraft board game, but it's planned for 2027. That's the office I'm streaming from. Here are our graphical team, designing team, project management teams. So as a company, we have quite a lot of people working on games, card games, board games, miniatures games. So yeah, and then obviously entire engineering of CNC and plastic injection minis. Let it go. Yeah. We're gonna go to last section now. Yeah, lots of Warhammer miniatures. Obviously, Warhammer miniatures needs we collect them for teardown, and this is what exactly. Yeah, but anyway, this is the process when we.
We also have fans of Warhammer. A lot in the company.
Yeah. We play them. I play still. So, but anyway, that's about it. So that was a quick tour about around the factory and some basic things which we do here around. Okay, let's go to another one. So another one is slightly portfolio. This is also quickly we need to talk about. Maybe before we move to the portfolio, let's have a look. We have any questions, like main questions. So one of the questions, hey, will be the skirmish or mass battle like 40k or Horus Heresy? So I've been saying this one at Gamma. I think the aim at the moment is to be more on a level of combat patrol from Warhammer 40,000. So that's the level of the game you may expect it. So it's slightly above being a skirmish. So from, I would say, 20 to 40 miniatures roughly per side, depending on the faction you're going to play. Oh yeah, the Protoss should be less. Protoss is going to be about 10 miniatures, 10 to 50 miniatures. Yeah, Szymon actually replied that once. It's going to be roundabout between Age of Sigma War Machine, which you'll find there.
Yeah, these are definitely older questions. There's probably like a ton, an absolute ton, if you scroll down, because the chat's been pretty busy.
Yeah.
Army size sounds promising. Potentially some big dudes and a handful of your favorite small ones.
Oh yeah, that's for sure. I mean, let me show you something because obviously I'm going to be showing a miniature now because that's part of the things
This
which
big guy?
the big guy, yeah. So
Okay.
you can see how large miniatures we can manufacture. This is one of the miniatures we have done recently. It's our version of Balor. I want to show you the min. I want to show you the quality of miniature. This is what we might expect from StarCraft miniatures. So that quality, this is a in pair with everything you will find out there, especially with Games Workshop. Now, some things you might notice is basically there's a clear plastic elements. So this is technology we developed 3 years ago for StarCraft. It was part of the StarCraft because there's a lot of things we want to use this technology for in StarCraft. You can imagine, I mean, Archon, for instance. And yeah, that was developed for that purpose. And we've been using this one quite successfully and improving the process for last few years. But yeah, that level of minis models you may expect from us in terms of a StarCraft. So they're going to be in pair with Games Workshop. Right? So that was, and look at the size. I mean, if you talk about the size of minis, that's massive.
We don't have a banana for scale.
We don't have a banana for scale. Do we have any other miniature for scale? I would say we can use that miniature. So that tiny miniature next to it is about 32mm model.
I can't see it because it's channel. A second.
Yeah, just click clear. So that's what it is. That's the tiny mini next to it is basically a 32mm model. So just to show you scale. Let's go through slides. More questions?
You may as well just scroll all the way down to, I think.
No, hold on. Let's go.
I don't think we're ever going to catch up to the questions.
We're not going to catch them to questions.
These are still from the start.
Yeah. Okay. It's you have to give it some time because the chart is getting refreshed, and then all of a sudden we're getting tons of questions coming through. Okay. So that thing, you can read out the question.
Yeah, so they're all produced in Poland. Board games still come from China for plastic inserts and EU norms reasons. Yeah, so this game will be fully made locally or in Poland?
Yes, entirely made in Poland locally. If you've been watching our Emma, you know that we've been doing transition for the last couple of years to move away from any Chinese manufacturing, especially for the board games. So the first board game, StarCraft board game, I think should be 100% also made in 2027 in Poland. This is down to many reasons. Even recent announcement of tariffs will help. Because every single product which is supplied from China going through any ways to USA, it will have tariffs on. So in case of our products, will be either less tariffs, or we will see what type of deal EU is going to be able to make with USA. But in general, making in-house got many other benefits, which I will go through just in a second, because you have to understand something. I've been talking here many times about the wargaming scene and about the wargaming companies, and only one successful at this stage wargaming company is Games Workshop. And there's a main reason, because Games Workshop is mainly, I see them as logistic company. So they are able to manufacture and supply products all the time, constantly. Yes, there is a FOMO. Yes, there is a shortages of products sometimes, but in general, globally, they're able to fulfill all of the requirements for the market and for the game. So that's one of the reasons why the game constantly exists and being built, and so on. In other hand, you have other companies, big companies, which are unable to do so because they rely on a third-party manufacturing from overseas, mainly from China. And that is causing them to constantly not have product on shelf, which, as I said, in our situation, is not the case, because we just have machines here, and it's just one day to start manufacturing and second day to start packing and shipping boxes out of the factory to distributors and to stores. So that is the big difference between us and any other company you have out there.
Anyways, we do need to keep the answers a bit briefer because there is a lot of questions.
I know what's a question. So that's me. Sorry. Usually I start talking and then I just cannot stop.
Part two, they're still one of the few companies who still don't use crowdfunding to develop their factory and products, not as a primary revenue stream. Yes, this is definitely the case. We have multiple income streams, which is not the case with a lot of crowdfunding companies or companies that use crowdfunding for board games and other similar games. We do manufacturing for other companies. We do retail releases.
Yeah. So quickly, because we need to go that and then move to the normal to the talk about StarCraft. So just to finish off about us, we work with many companies. So these are the licensors which trust us with their IPs. For Ubisoft, we have Heroes Might and Magic board game. So you might know us from that. And then there's the Battles, which is postponed to 2026. It's a miniatures game. And then we have a card game, which probably is going to be launched this year. Then we have Heroes Battleground and Heroes Fields of Eternia. From Bethesda, Wolfenstein, Dishonored, and Quake. Wargaming.net, we signed a deal with Master of Rand. This is the board game. In fact, this is going to be first board game made in Poland.
Mm-hmm. So our first one. Well,
our first
fully
one.
made in Poland.
Yep. So
that is, Wolfenstein also had miniatures made in made here, but
that's correct. Yes, that's correct.
The other parts.
And then World of Tanks TCG, that is also made in Europe. And then we have obviously StarCraft. Now, on top of what you see here, we have Hasbro Dungeons and Dragons. Not yet announced, but it's going to be soon. A deal. I'm spoiling a lot. Paizo, Pathfinder. For Disney, we've made miniatures for Alien board games. So if you have a look on those things, if you have them, you probably know. Parabellum games, entire Conquest for the last 5 years, it's been done by in our factory. Every single tool, every single product. Mantic for Kings of War. So starting from last year, everything manufactured for Mantic is made by us. We have a Battlefront for Flames of War. That's also another line of miniatures we are manufacturing in our factory. So just quickly to show you, and for Hasbro Dungeons and Dragons miniatures brand, that was made for third-party company, not for us. Disney, we're talking here about Aliens, Mantic, and Parabellum. So, and in fact, every single sprue you see out there, and every single sprue which says
made
in Poland is made in our factory by us. Mm-hmm. So we do supply a lot of products out there to many companies, and thus far we've been doing this one very well, and they had no shortages from us. So that's
and
another.
There's more coming soon as well.
Oh yeah, or more big ones. Yeah, even bigger ones. So okay. StarCraft, and then here are a few things which I always keep saying why it is important to have in-house production, why it matters. So entire production process supervised and controlled. That's what it is. We control quality. We don't let anything go out of the factory if we don't think it's up to our standards. Maximum intellectual property security. That's quite obvious. So we don't use any contractors, by the way. We use everything. Everything is made in-house. We have all the technology here. The teams are trained up and so on. Rock solid release dates and deliveries. That's important. I think that's going to be success. The main success for this game is going to be that. Make sure we have this manufacturing. Make sure we have shipping on time. Make sure we have a robust release line and release schedule.
Yeah, but for stuff made in China, the delays are often an inevitability. But for projects that we make in-house, we're usually either on time or even earlier.
Yeah. I mean, we've been having when I was putting this presentation together, I was thinking maybe to show people what exactly we did in 1 year. That was 2 years ago for Deusla in terms of month with miniatures. But there's 400 miniatures on the table with big ones, small ones, and whatever, and you cannot see them really like that. So, but we have big projects delivering in 6 months, 8 months, 9 months, and 3 months before schedule, 2 months before schedule. So. But they need to be done in-house, internally, where we can actually keep an eye on it and see how they're going. And then quantity is always met. That's the thing. Rapid manufacturing speed, that's correct. I mean, we can create tools very, very quickly and rapidly. So it's not like you have to wait 6 months for the new release or 8 months for the new release. We can actually, if the licensor gives us approval on the models, that model should be in production within 3 weeks, maximum 4 weeks, with the packaging and everything. So this is how fast we can turn around many tools. And one of the examples, if you want to know what from all those IPs and everything else, we do have a skirmish game created in on a Hexes, but it's still classified as skirmish game. It's the Masters of the Universe Battleground, launch in Europe, and last year launch in USA. So that's that. If you ever have a look, our support, how much we support this game constantly, it's been a blast basically for the last 2 years. So that's one of the examples of the games we released, and the content, the quality, the miniatures quality, everything else, you can judge by yourself by just scrolling through Board Game Geek or just seeing you on the local gaming store. Okay, StarCraft. Let's check. Obviously, big disclaimer: everything presented and discussed during the summer is subject to change. That's completely, I think, is quite obvious. But let's go through all the questions.
Will the miniatures be based solely on StarCraft 2, or will there be also miniatures based on their Broodwater aesthetics? Honestly, I don't see why we couldn't make both. Personally, we have alternate versions of miniatures would be definitely possible later on down the line.
Yes, just only one note here. It's much easier to get references from StarCraft 2 instead of StarCraft 1 in terms of miniatures. So how it works with license, you have to basically copy one-to-one. You cannot go and create something which is similar. It needs to be one-to-one. And then for that, we need a nice references. And the way we work at the moment, we're using references from StarCraft 2. There will be some element from StarCraft 1, which I'm not going to be talking at this stage because it needs to go through approval. But in general, yes. In general, expect everything from StarCraft 2. Yes, the miniature is going to be unassembled. So if you...
I think he's referring to Battletech.
Oh, Battletech. Okay, sorry for that.
After finishing the basic units, will you make minor factions such as the Tal'Darim and Infested Terran, or story mode units like the Terran Herc and Zerg Aberration? Yeah, that's a given. We will definitely be making subfactions, whether it's the Tal'Darim, whether it's Stukov, the Nerazim, anything you want really.
Yeah.
Will we potentially see models for units only ever described in the books? Like the KMC Sloths, Confederate Avengers, or even entirely new units. So I think our license covers the entire StarCraft universe. So I imagine once we've gone through the more popular or well-known units, we will probably be looking into the more less-known models as well.
That's correct. I mean, with description it's difficult because then we have to create a concept which then needs to be approved based on description. That might take a little bit more time. So we're going to be basically using what is the low-hanging fruit, basically. So we have the references and we can use that one to create the models. But yes, you expect a lot. Really expect a lot.
Will you be using Prismacast for StarCraft? For terrain, most likely, I think you mentioned, right?
I think yes. I think for the terrain, yes, we would like to use that one for terrain. For all of you wargamers, I share the pain of painting terrain. Miniatures, yes. Assembling, painting miniatures, yes, it's a part of the hobby. But terrain, nobody's likes it. So there is a potential to be there for that.
Will the game only have 3 factions, or will there be sub-factions? Yes, there will. As I mentioned earlier, we're planning sub-factions. Will we receive any codexes for the races, like how there is in 40k or Horus Heresy, which contain lore and rule sets?
At this stage, that wasn't discussed, so I don't think so. At this stage, we're going to be focusing only solo on a rulebook for rules itself. So any other fluff, anything else, it's still a question mark. I don't think I would like to go with the codexes idea.
That's another thing as well. Like we can't imagine new lore. We can't add.
Yeah,
really anything without Blizzard's approval.
Exactly.
So that's also another difficulty in creating a codex. Will this be GameFound or Kickstarter? At this moment in time, neither. We're planning a direct-to-retail release. If that changes, then we'll let everyone know. But the current plan is a retail release. Will the base building element of the games be in some grade integrated into the board game? Curiosity got the best of me. Thanks in advance for answering. To be answered in the future, also a valid answer.
At this stage, no. We did actually have like a first The first game we worked on about 2 years ago,
First prototype.
It was a prototype, yeah, the first prototype basically for Tabletop Miniature. There was an element of that, and that wasn't working really. So we needed to stream it more into wargaming. I'll show you some things in a second, but we have to take those things which are in wargaming, so miniatures, table, measurement, terrain, and then work through that. Adding anything extra on my course, moving slightly closer to the board game, which we don't want to do it with the miniatures.
This on the table.
No. I don't know, maybe. Or carrier, maybe. I don't know, we'll see. We'll see in the future what we can do with the game. There is maybe option for that, but in the far, far future. For something bigger. So you can see on the screen now in terms of what scale will the miniatures use. So we're talking about 32 millimeter scale. Obviously, slightly might be some models might be slightly rescaled. And the second one, where will the game be released? Obviously, when it's ready. But we are aiming, and this is what we're aiming, and it's obviously subject to change, to have pre-orders in Q4 of 2025 and shipping in the first quarter of 2026.
Is the StarCraft war game going to be as expensive as Warhammer?
30% cheaper. That's at least. Warhammer, it's scaling very high, so you can have massive armies. Here, if you want, you can have massive armies, but this is not going to be the level of play, as I mentioned, is combat patrol, and that's about it. I mean, the game scales, so you can play bigger battles if you want, but that's not ideal for us. So it's going to be much, much smaller. In terms of price point 1-to-1, it's definitely minimum 30% cheaper to what you will find with Games Workshop.
Will movement be on hexes or ruler? Right now it's on ruler. On
a ruler, yes. We tested hexes. I love hexes, but I absolutely love hexes. But the problem is it's not wargame. You don't feel it's a wargame. It going into that territory of being somewhere between the wargame and
a board game.
I mean, let me know in the comments what you think. Let me know in the comments what we should do. But
will there be plans for language localization? Definitely.
Yes, that's correct. Yes.
All the languages we have listed on the sign-up page that we showed off at the beginning of the stream. Those are going to be the languages that the game is going to come in.
Yeah.
So it includes Korean.
It includes Korean.
I'd answer the questions from Subsurian because
which one?
Subsurian. I know he has a long list of questions. How much customization can we expect from models in terms of bits? I.e., will we get things like the option to put random fire extinguisher from the cinematic in StarCraft on our Marines?
Okay, so we just finished like fully designing Marines, and we had this discussion. Like Szymon was preparing document for me for project document on the Marines, and we were looking for different bits and bobs of customization on the Marines. So hear me out. Again, this is maybe subject to change, but you will find on our sprues bits that will allow you to do a different type of great customization. So muzzle flash for instance, and some crystals maybe on the base, and made out of krill plastic and so on. So we plan actually to do a lot of those things included in a product for every single line. So for those of you who like those things, we'll be able to spend a little bit more time on the models because we require a bit more assembly, but the option is there. You won't have to go and 3D print something or go and buy something. We're going to give you're going to get it. So that's slightly different what we want to do above to what competition is doing currently.
So this red plastic is colored from CNC directly, and is it transparent? Well, the plastic we use kind of, is it called filament? But basically,
it's not. It's called plastic. It's a plastic. So
yeah,
it is colored. It's colored in mass. So this means it's coming like that from injection machine. Yes, once it's injected, we can make it clear plastic. And most of the things will be made out of clear plastic, like a white one, like we have on that model over there on the bottom. We can show that one if they want to have a look. Just for clarification's sake of it.
Yeah. So for example, here's the barrel with a white weapon, white flames.
Yeah, white flames. So bluish tint. I think they're slightly little bit bluish tint, but yeah.
It's mostly white.
Yep. Clear.
Yeah, clear.
Right, let's go. Oh god. Oh god, there's so many questions.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of people, so that's why we have to get through the questions a bit faster.
You are we answered that question.
Is organized play something planned from the start, or is it something to be looked at later?
Oh yes.
Yes, we are planning on supporting organized play, but the game itself will have a pretty big focus on narrative play.
Yep. Well, Terrain Marines will be multi-part kits. That's what I mentioned, yes. So Terrain will be multi-part kits. You will have different weapon options, by the way, different assembling options, and different customization bits. By different assembly options, I mean maybe different poses of arms, maybe different weapon, like a pistol in one arm, and so on, so on. So that's what we want to do. Just clear that. So I can see this one is coming back question. Would there be some like base building in StarCraft? In a tabletop miniatures game, no. However, as we mentioned in our announcement, we're also going to be making board games in the future. So you might expect this one in a board game. Okay. Okay. One second. I have some questions to answer. You can read that one and answer that one if you want quickly. I want to go through questions.
Where and how will the miniature games, games/miniatures be made? They'll be made in our in-house factory in Poland. As mentioned earlier, we make miniatures for like a whole bunch of different publishers, and we have a lot of years of experience in making them in hard plastic as well. And again, for those unfamiliar, high-impact polystyrene, or HIPS, is also the same material used by Games Workshop, and we use the exact same process to make our miniatures.
Exactly.
Which, again, allows for highly detailed and durable miniatures. Will your StarCraft stuff launch at the same time globally? That is the plan.
Yes, that's the plan. So we will start with pre-orders. Once the pre-orders are closed and we manufacture enough product, we will ship it out, and then we will make a street date, which is going to be equally to global street date.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's close that. Let's move next one. So again, what you see here on the screen now, it's only basically subject to change. Some of the things you disagree. So if you disagree, sorry, this is basically on my understanding of the situations of war games. It's actually from last I've made that like 2 years ago. So I'm using the same because I think it's still relevant, and this is what we're trying to kind of achieve. Now, I know it's easy to say we want to make the game which is easy to learn, and some of you will say, well, some of those games are actually easy to learn, but we have kind of planned for that one, which at this stage looks like we're there with the current version of the game, which is very, very easy to learn. Is it hard to master? It's got its own things, which you will find in other of our games, especially in the Battleground, which allows you to be extremely focus on a tactic and a strategy in a game, where the mechanics are actually quite easy. So some things we're going to be definitely avoiding is to making extremely long rules for units. So you won't find that one. So it's more like streamline. I would say a little bit more to the recent changes with Games Workshop and
Hey, let's not compare ourselves to GW. Like, this game is completely different.
It is completely different.
Let me just put that out there.
So here you have how many miniatures. So we're looking at something like more than Age of Sigmar. I know the Age of Sigmar miniatures, depending on the faction, you can have even hundreds of miniatures, but that's not the goal here. And then in terms of easy to learn, that's what we're planning to be along those games. So BattleTech, I would say, is easy to learn. I know it's very hard to master because of everything you have in a BattleTech, but that's the kind of aim for this game. Let's go through some questions. I support organized. Yes, we were going to support any type of organized play. That's the huge one. If the game is gonna, we're gonna launch through retail, so it needs to be basically supported through And then if you want to see some examples of how we support it, there is again the same Mod 2 Battleground, where we do like support tournaments, we provide prizes for tournaments and so on.
We're going to be asking rules questions or answering them?
Some of them we can do.
Yeah, so what will the rule set be like? D6, D10, alternating activations? Neither. We're going to have, well, the current plan is to use custom dice. We have developed a system which I think is extremely streamlined, makes the game really, really easy to play. No more asking like, oh, like, what's your, like, to hit and what's your arm and toughness, whatever else. No alternating activations as well. Well, it's kind of no alternating activations. It's more initiative based. But right now it's more card based as well.
So again, as we mentioned, this is all subject to change, but we're looking at the card based activation with initiative and the slightly, let's say, we'll leave it like that for now. In terms of dice, Szymon mentioned is going to be custom-made dice at this stage, obviously. So we're still playtesting and still want to see how this one will go. And then obviously that needs to go through full approval and making sure that it's being fully approved. So again, disclaimer, everything is subject to change. The dice mechanic is actually amazing, because it allows you to remove maybe 7 or different stats from the game, like out the get-go. Just remove them because they are not necessary anymore. So units are having a 20 to 30% additional bonuses when they attack the units they're supposed to counter. Did that make sense? Yeah. Yeah. So, but we use that one with dice. It's a really great mechanic of the dice rolling. So, I am happy with that. Lots of people who play that game here internally, they're also very happy because it's very easy to navigate. So that's great. And there is no much going back and forth, by the way. So there's one roll against one roll. So I have my own roll to attack. You have your own roll to defend. And that's it. And there's no questions. I don't have to ask you for any stats. We don't have to go through the book. There is no needed to check something.
No tables need checking.
No tables. That's for sure. We don't do any tables. So that's great. That's part of why the game is easy to learn. You didn't mention this one. I think with other games, that's the biggest problem when you have to go in deep.
It's just annoying and yeah.
So alternative activation, I would say with the card games, it is alternative activation, because obviously it goes down to initiative. Once you play the card and it says what initiative unit will be activated, you select that unit and you do all the actions with small twist. But then obviously once I finish my activation, it's your turn to go. So it's kind of depending on that initiative who's going to go first within that phase. So phase of the activation. So
for those asking, will there be siege tanks? Yes, they have to be in the game. In what languages will the game be available? Only English, or can we also have it translated into Spanish, German, like Heroes? Yes. If you visit our sign-up page for StarCraft and you go to the language tab, all the languages that are listed there, you'll be able to get the game in that language.
Will be able to assemble on different swapping arms in between the bodies.
Yeah, how convertible do you plan? If you're referring to multi-part kits, then yes, they are planned. You'll be able to...
Not that much multi-part kits. I know what he's referring to. If you're referring to many multi-part kits when you just swap the bodies, no, that's not really what we're aiming at the moment. So they're gonna be much more something between a monopose with additional arms to exchange. So you have a body and legs being together, heads that are swappable, and then arms, you have like 1 or 2 options for arms, and that's about it. There's a reason for that. Also, we're aiming at the models to be push fit. So something which we currently working on. We do have a push fit technology, but not for the miniature, not for such a small miniatures yet. Something we're going to be testing now and see. Basically developing this one just to make sure we on release day we're going to have push fit miniatures. That's the aim. Obviously subject to change, but we want to make that game very accessible.
What are the largest StarCraft units you have planned, or you have plans of implementing into the game? So I think this was mentioned earlier, but probably around the size of the Ultralisk.
Yeah. So expect me like this. Mini. Sorry, we're going through questions. I just want to. There's lots of them. Let's move on to the next slide. After this one, there's one more slide, and then we can go through some more questions. And yeah, I don't want to take too much time today. Just one more note. This is not the last AMA about StarCraft, right? We will be doing quite frequently. I think once a month we could do, or maybe once every 2 months, to see how much materials we're going to have ready for you to show you. But that's going to be quite frequently on this channel. Okay, so in terms of miniatures, and then we'll be looking at table size, we think we should go for 35 by 35. I'll call this kitchen table ready table. Kind of, yeah, like that. So what's the idea? Idea is here to work around 50% of reinforcements. So you have your 50% of miniatures on the table, and then during the course of the game, you introduce another 50% of miniatures on the table. Obviously, once the miniatures are being removed from the game. Now, we've got something cool, which is another stat in the game, which is population. It's coming from supply from StarCraft, which works very good. I think works very good. It balanced the game, basically balanced the game, and allow us actually to play on the small tables, and that's the whole idea. Now we played like 2 versus 2. It was myself, me. Who I was playing with? I was playing with Michał.
Yeah, and me and Oleg.
And you and Oleg. So it was 2 versus 2 game when we extended the table by additional 16 inches, and it was 2 versus 2. Very easy game to play, and we play like 4 hours. 4 hours game for 4 players. So it was actually very fast game. So I like that one as well. So you may expect that 50% again with the scale of the miniature, so more than everything else. But that's the size of the table we are planning to have for this game. That's correct. Yes. I would say...
Yeah, campaign system or single scenarios only?
I would say both. That's the point, both.
Yes, and it includes Korean for the person asking in chat.
Hey, you might be correct. Might be widely incorrect, yes, because that's what I think. If somebody else thinks otherwise and the game's being played differently, then fine. This is what I think is on the market currently. I know Malifaux, Star Wars being played on a small tables as well, but GW games need like much bigger tables. So, but go by this. That's important. That's where we want to be.
They can't see your mouse if you hover over the OBS.
Sorry for that. Yeah, I'm old. So go by this. This is the important things. If you disagree about Fallout not being played on a big table, okay, that's fine. But yeah.
Flyers, yes. Flying units will also be in the game. Animation like Star Wars, Armada.
Yes, I think so, both. There is a mission play, so slightly different than Star Wars Armada. Currently we have a mission deck, and you have 3 missions on the table, and those missions allow you to generate additional victory points. And they are sometimes like control a section of the table, control a point on a table.
Yeah, but again, this is more for the more like tournament style rule set, but we will be also releasing stuff more for like narrative play. How important will heroes be? Will they be super strong? I think they'll be decently strong. I know for the thing we were testing, we had Reyna versus Kerrigan.
But they also allow different meta to be shifted in terms of units. So they allow some additional upgrades to the units, which they can use. So it's important, kind of important to have them, not necessarily, yeah.
Yeah, well, we also have like subfactions, of course. Will terrain play a big part in the rules? And if yes, will they be part of your miniature lineup? I'd say it's a decent part of the game, definitely.
Yeah, terrain will be important. Terrain is important, it will be part of the lineup.
There's going to be some terrain in the starter box, definitely.
Oh yeah, a lot. A starter box will be really big. I mean, looking
Are
at
we making it bigger now, or?
It is still very big comparing to what is out there with...
Oh, for sure, yeah.
Everything we want to put in a starter box is massive. It's really big. So, and then there are future plans for releasing more terrain, especially from the StarCraft, obviously from the StarCraft universe, and maybe some interior play. So maybe you will find yourself in the corridors of some battleships. How long
will the default game size take to play? So 1v1, I think we're looking about 2 hours.
Around about 2 hours. For experienced players, even faster. What is great? Okay, hear me out, because I say that to my friend as well. What's different from our game and any other games? You set up the table. Once you have terrain set up, we start playing. Basically, we start playing because we bring in the units from the edge. You might sometimes get your units allowed to be bring from the side edge, but you basically bring your unit by unit from the edge of the table, and we play. The first round is basically positioning round anyway, so we don't have to spend time on placing our models, whatever. You basically play. That speed up a lot of process of setting up. That's it. So this is why we're cutting hours, cutting minutes, a lot of minutes from the setup.
What is the first, or what does the first wave rollout look like? Are all 3 armies available upon release, or will it be a slow trickle?
So you might expect at this stage, again, subject to change, a 2-player starter box with Terran and Zerg in it, and a separate box for Protoss. And then you might also expect additional units to be available on the release. So the starter boxes, each of them, I don't gonna be talking specific what is in there, but you may expect 4 units for 4 units for Terran, 4 units for Zerg, and 4 units for Protoss. Minimum.
But by units, we don't mean individual models. But entire squads.
Squads, yeah.
Do you want to create new units in the future when you run out of existing ones? That have to be done with the agreement of Blizzard. I mean, if they let us, maybe we'll have to see.
I mean, realistically speaking, we have enough content at the moment from what is available for 9 years of releases, 9 years of support and releases. So that's,
at least,
yeah, at least.
Will there be transparent standees for flying minis?
Oh, that's for sure. Yes.
You mentioned terrain. Would there be a possibility of some larger buildings being made, like a barracks and spawning pools?
Yes. But they will be separate packs. We won't be able to. Maybe in some expansion boxes, maybe, but they need to be in separate pack.
Will narrative play be based on past campaign missions?
What do you think?
I think, like, why not?
It must be. I think also it must be.
The scale does make it a little bit harder to make some of the campaign missions, but I think it's more than doable. Will there be mushroom cloud miniature for nukes?
I don't know, maybe.
It'd have to be a pretty big mushroom cloud.
Yeah.
Yeah, starter box will include two factions, as mentioned a second ago earlier.
Yeah, that's correct, yes.
Terran and Zerg for now.
Yeah, and the Protoss is a separate one. Okay, we answer this.
Will it be possible to play solo? We don't have a solo mode planned right now. I think. What do you think about co-op mode, though?
You pushing on co-op mode, I think this is a good idea. We need to go and then check whether we can implement this one easily. If so, the co-op mode will be also available.
Because, I mean, co-op mode is like massive in StarCraft 2.
That's correct, yes, it is.
It's very popular to this day.
Yeah. And I think it's with because we do have co-op mode in Model Battleground. The second wave of the boxes we have released, it was the co-op mode. So we have some grounds and some experience and some knowledge how to do the co-op mode with this level of kind of activation and yeah.
So both players set up terrain before the game, like choosing a map, kind of.
Yes, kind of. Yes, that's correct. We cannot show you much, but yeah, it's gonna be like in the video game.
How will units be sold beyond the starter army box or individual units?
You
both probably?
You both, yeah. So you got the starter boxes. We don't do anything premium in starter boxes, by the way. So you don't have to jump on the starter boxes for overpriced starter boxes just to have that small model in there. So don't expect that. But everything from the starter boxes will be also available separately. So if you want to expand your faction, your army just pure MMOs, Marines and Medics, you may go for the additional Medics. You don't need anything else. Yeah, you know what I mean.
How many models will have a standard tournament army require? Will there be multiple faction starter sets or just one per box?
How many models will the standard tournament army require? Yeah, I mean the tournament is basically the default game. That's what we're looking for. So you're looking from, depending on the faction, from 10 models to 25 to 30 models. What was the Zerg last time you played? It was 24 Zerglings, right, and a few other models there. So you ended up almost 30 models.
Yeah, for what's going to be potentially in the starter box.
Okay, okay. It was a 30 models in the starter boxes for Zerg faction.
Oh no, it's a bit more than that because what was it?
Wasn't it? It's 24 plus 3 plus 3 plus 2 plus 1. Yeah, about 30.
Yeah.
Obviously, as I said, it's scalable. So if you want to go for bigger points, no problem.
Will there be any UED or Tal'Darim? I could definitely see it in the future, yeah. UED for sure, I think. Tal'Darim also for sure. Yeah. Aside from the Archon, what units are you the most excited to make? But the Archon better be epic. I did see a question from Subsurian as well about the Archon, because the Archon is a pretty difficult mini to get right in miniature form, because there have been some official ones as well. So I am also curious how that will look like in the end.
So I didn't mention this one, but our company name is actually coming from StarCraft, right? Yep. So I did mention this one a long time ago, right? On one of the...
Yeah, it's not a coincidence.
It's not a coincidence. It's not a coincidence. And that's that. But as a Zerg player, I think for me always is going to be Hydras. Always. I just love the aesthetics of Hydra.
Will there be any opportunity to surprise with some kind of fog of war effect? Yeah, so the way we're kind of doing it is you can reinforce your army with miniatures either from the backline or from the sides, and this kind of functions similar to fog of war in that you can surprise your opponent with unexpected deployments or hit them from an unexpected angle.
That's correct. Yes. So that will do your fog of war.
Mm-hmm. Have you considered context, Artosis and Tasteless for a bit of promotion on this? Oh yeah, for sure. We're looking at a lot of big names in the StarCraft.
I think what is important, what you have to know, we're gonna be supporting a lot of tournaments financially, and so you may find yourself seeing our logo here and there during some tournaments, big tournaments and small tournaments for StarCraft. I think that was a little bit of. Yeah, that's the plan, and we're going to be starting soon anyway. So towards the end of the year, we're going to be putting a lot of money into StarCraft tournament scene. That's that. So we want to make sure that StarCraft tournament scene is going to exist and live for longer. Oh my sake. this question already answered.
I'm late, but a big fan of StarCraft and table games. Is the game, will it be closer to something like Twilight Imperium or Warhammer 40k? Well, again, we're making two different games. One will be a war game and the other will be a board game. So the first game will be, I guess closer to 40k in the fact that it's a war game. The second game, it may be closer to Twilight Imperium. But again, we're still relatively far away from that, so we'll have to see.
Yeah. See any more questions like we should go?
I mean, we can just pick any. Will activations be based on individual models or units? It will be of units. Activation based on units. Units from StarCraft 1 or 2. We have a license for the entire series, so both.
Yeah.
You mentioned Protoss come separate. Will this release at the same time as the core box?
Yeah, the same time when the core box. So core box is 2-player starter sets, and then we have a Protoss. We have to. The 3 factions needs to be. They've got to be out at the same time.
Mm-hmm. Are we getting battle cruisers, Colossus, and Ultralisk?
Colossus, yes. Ultralisk, yes. Battle cruiser, unfortunately not.
We're going to be making a Colossus.
Yeah.
It's
some idea about it. Yeah.
I mean, the scale is.
I know it is. It's going to be large model, but yeah. It's got to be on the table. Come on, Colossus. No Colossus.
No battlecruiser?
Battlecruiser is a problem. It's such a large model, then either we're going to make...
And the Colossus isn't.
It is, but it works on the ground, not fly above your head.
Any chance we'll see a survival mode, like the classic one from StarCraft 1? That'd be amazing. Yeah, I've already mentioned this as well to the team. Like, I'd personally love to see a mode where... one player can potentially have an endless wave of Zerg and the other has to defend a position, or even have it as a co-op mode where you and your buddy just defend a zone and have some, like, an AI opponent, for example,
that's the co-op.
attack you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So the co-op needs to be in this game.
Like Zero Hour, I don't know.
I mean, the co-op is just, let's have some fun.
Yeah.
With no stress, really.
Will we see Dragoons or just Stalkers? Both. Definitely both.
Yeah, definitely both.
Will it be based on D6 rolling or custom dice? As mentioned earlier, it will be custom dice. We have a custom dice system that we worked on quite a bit, and I think it's really nice. It's really smooth, very streamlined, and I think everyone here will enjoy it.
Yep.
Will models be painting friendly? That would be ideal. Although I know, well, I'm of the personal opinion that the closer we get to Games Workshop models, the more difficult it may be to paint. Hopefully, hopefully we'll do what we can to make it easier to paint. Any chance the gameplay will be less killy? I personally hate painting my minis for hours and only having it seconds on the table.
Okay. In terms of gameplay, we will make a separate video explaining like time to kill, what our thinking is about the gameplay, and so on, so on, so on. It will happen at some point, probably soon. But time to kill, most of the games are set to run about between 12 and 20%. So this is how many wounds you inflict, or basically this is how many models, one-wounded models you eliminate through the mechanics of the game on average. So we're looking at the same. We're looking at the same comparing to other games, because there is here we need a little bit of flow of these minis to come through. If you want to have a 30 miniatures or 40 miniatures armies playing a small table, it will be basically overloaded with minis, so that rotation is required there. So I think just recently, we have increased the time to kill just to accommodate that one, because it just became a little bit of what's the name? The miniatures were not flowing, so there was no flow of minis on table. They were just locked in the combat constantly without any elimination. But yeah, there will be a separate video about that one.
Will there be a game mode for larger battles where I could field something like 200 models?
So it's scalable. So if you got one starter box and you want to use other starter box and play one game with both starter boxes, here you go. You can still do it, no problem. So it's fully scalable. There is a limit, obviously, on that scalability because obviously the miniatures won't fit on a table. But that's that. Nothing in a core game, nothing in the rules will disallow that.
How will squad building work? Is it a traditional point-based system, or will it be supported by an app?
Supported by app, and also at this stage is a traditional point-based system. We did try several different options, but I think we're going back to the one which we like it the most, and which is the easiest to understand by the people. It's a point-based system.
How would lurkers work in the game? When they burrow, would they have their own unique model?
Yes. At the moment, every single which burrows will have a own unique model. You just replace that. You replace models you have on a table with that one token, and then when they get revealed, you just place them around that token, which is sometimes give you some bonuses. Sometimes it's a pro and con basically situation. So yeah.
So a question from Subsurian. Marines especially have a lot of painted designs on their armor. Can we expect a lot of wall slide transfers, especially for Terran models? Definitely, this is something we have planned. Stickers. Just to explain it simply, yes, we do have some stickers planned where you can just transfer them onto your model without too many issues. You confirm subfactions like UED. Will that be only a paint scheme with unique characters, or has Blizzard approved some unique designs for shared models, such as the Immersion Marine versus a Warpig? So, I mean, for factions like the UED, definitely custom rules will be required. I'm not sure about specific paint schemes. I mean, you can definitely do that on your own, but like a separate pack containing, for example, Marines and some Zerg, like a pack of Marines, medics, and maybe some Zerglings would definitely be possible for like a faction box for the UED. But as for unique designs, I'm not sure about that. Again, we can't do anything that's not in the game or not shown explicitly in Blizzard material.
Yeah. So you mentioned push fit models. It is for the all minis. From my experience, that and what I have seen from other people, they are meant to easy assembly, but really are just more of a hassle because of gaps. I agree on that one. I agree on the gap section. I've been assembling a lot of push fit models. I like them, but there is downside to these models. We are going to make it right, or we're not going to do it. Basically, that's what I'm saying. Once we have the first tests through, and if the models go together very nicely, and there is no problem with gaps, what you just mentioned, and I have some engineering idea how to fix that problem, we will basically use it. If not, we will just do with no push fit.
Will there be color book supplements?
At this stage, no. At this stage, no.
We could always get Dave for some tutorials.
Will there be fixed weapons like spires, bunkers, and photocannons? I think more likely in co-op. So maybe if we're going to release a separate boxes just for the co-op play, then we might think about those things.
How about two different kinds of points for your point system, crystals and Vespene gas, to stay coherent with the lore? We have actually already been trying this as well.
We did.
Again, we've been trying all sorts of different solutions.
We did. There was a few problems. We did that one where you had miniatures and then you buy your army through, minerals, and you buy your army through minerals, and then gas was used for the upgrades, just to upgrade those units. It was complicated. It was too complicated, a little bit complicated. But as I said, everything's subject to change. So we reversed to the idea of just having minerals, and you buy through minerals everything. And the reason why it was complicated, because then you could only dedicate this very, very expensive resources, which is gas, to one unit. And we couldn't basically find a nice tuning for balancing this one. Yeah, either they have to be like a global upgrades for everything you have on the table, or just we won't be able to introduce a unit upgrades. So yeah.
Will Zerk have creep? Bonus to be on creep? Yes. Creep tokens are bland, of course. And there will be bonuses to being on creep.
Yeah. So on the next slide, you can see, because this is the last slide I want to share with today. As I said, this is the first AMA. Lots of you here. Please subscribe to the channel. Make sure you're going to get notified next time when we're going to be again doing AMA and show you more content and things like that. But where we're looking in terms of being a competitive player. So yeah, try to stimulate here. Obviously, here you have that mistake. I think this is my mistake. The War Machine is very competitive. It should be on the other side. But in general, that's what we see in terms of gameplay, where we have more fluffy games, more about narrative plays. We want to be basically in the center, like Legion is.
StarCraft has a lot of factions, brood tribes aligned with color. Will there be color guides for things like use these paints for Dominion Marine?
Yeah, I think I already talked with one of the painters about that one, just to create a lot of different examples for the book to give you some ideas of color schemes for the painting. Yes.
Thanks for taking the time to answer our questions, Archon. I'm excited for the next stream when we can hopefully see some renders. So we do have the renders on the page for the 3 key heroes. Now, I just reminded myself of a question earlier as well. Will Zeratul Sideblade be fixed? Yes, it's meant to be green. It was made blue by accident, but it will be fixed.
It was a render, lighting on the render, which caused that one to be blue, yes. So, as we mentioned, this clear plastic, or again, we can mention this clear plastic and show you again this model. So just imagine the side blades being done in that color, but green. And it's very flexible material. It's nothing like it's gonna snap or break. But side blades and many other things in terms of, in Proto especially, you will find made of this clear plastic.
Hi, great campaign. Characters like, I assume, Kerrigan, will they have a special kind of miniature? Any chances for busts or 75mm minis? Or will they be 35 or 32 in our case, like the others? So yes, hero miniatures will obviously have their own miniatures. Any chance for busts? I don't think we have plans for busts right now. Does your does your custom dice system mitigate the endless rerolling that other games suffer from? Oh yes.
I think there is only one reroll in the game. Like one faction, one unit in the faction has got rerolls. Everything else is basically quite streamed. So yeah, the dice mechanic actually, well, I'm gonna talk about this one in the next video.
Will you be taking a more GW style building design, or more like Gunpla, or a sort of hybrid?
Second?
Will you be taking a more GW style building design, or more like Gunpla? Probably closer to GW.
Closer to GW at the moment. Get a 1-inch grid mat on your table so people can see scale easily next time.
It's a good idea, I think.
Yeah, on that one, yeah. This mat somewhere. And the small mat of the cutting mat. Never mind, I'll check it. Bring it next time. So that one actually has got a scale. You can place the model next to it and be easy to see that scale of the model.
Yeah, well, will there be game mode for larger models? Yeah, again, anything is possible in the future. If you buy multiple boxes, you can scale up to that amount if you want to. can we use cave terrain to play on if you want to?
Yeah. I mean, again, there won't be nothing in the rules that disallow that. So if you want to make your own custom terrain, this is part of the wargaming. Some people really like terrain, custom made. So yeah, you can use anything you have on a shelf, even from other manufacturers. That's the bit about the terrain. That's a bit about the wargaming kit per se, because you can So, but you have to bear in mind also in the future we plan to do something around that. So like sci-fi terrain and especially okay. Let's not spoil too much.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm just clear that one and refresh the page because Jesus Christ, so many comments.
Will an app be required to play the game? No.
Not at all. I hate app. I absolutely hate it. When I see wargame with app, just for me it's like no. I don't play video games. I want to play. Well, I do play video games, but I don't want to play video games with my miniatures. So app won't be required.
Will these StarCraft streams replace your regular, less focused streams about what's going on with Archon?
Oh, absolutely not. Absolutely not. They're going to be addition. So addition to that. Probably going to move just StarCraft talks 2 weekends. So maybe one Saturday or something like that instead of doing Thursday. Thursday will be always fully dedicated just to Archon things.
Scroll up a bit.
Down, up.
Some heroes we have with different designs depending on the game. Would we potentially see things like StarCraft Remastered Kerrigan in addition to StarCraft 2 Kerrigan? Yeah, for sure. We will have differing...
That's Kerrigan.
Yeah.
Oh, that can't show guys.
But we will have different versions of... alternate versions of characters, definitely.
Yes.
So, you'll be able to have Jim Raynor on his Vulture bike. But you can also have him in his StarCraft 2 version when he's just running around with a gun or a sniper. Are the armies going to be based around hero leaders that could lead to everyone taking the same army, or will there be a reason to play? Will there be a reason for two Terran armies to be built differently to play against? We're not necessarily doing hero leaders. Heroes are just something that you can add to your army if you want to, but there will be somewhat of a focus on subfactions or the faction you want to play as.
Yeah, if you want to go full mech, there is a hero for that. If you want to go full MMMs, so Marines and Medics, there will be a hero for that as well, supporting them basically. But
will there be patches and stuff to change stats of units and such? Yes. If we think that some game balance is required, we do implement changes. At least that's how we're doing it for Battleground right now. Yeah.
If Battleground, we mainly operate with points, so we modify the points value per unit to rebalance. Although this happened very, very rarely. I don't know if we change, maybe we change across the years, maybe 1 or 2 units. So the game seems to be quite nicely balanced. The other thing about the balancing of the game, we're also going to be talking about with one of the very boring videos when I'm going to be, discussing rules.
So will data cards be used? What's at the table for your many stats?
Yes. You need to have some data cards, basically. There's the only one number, well, there's a couple, obviously there's some rules you need to look up. So we need to have that one on a table, but they won't be complicated or whatever, many sentence rules. But also there is info you need to always have, like how many attacks do I have per model, how many type of dice I need to roll. So those basic things are going to be available on data card. They need to be there.
Are we going to see an official battle report prior to release? Definitely.
Yep.
Definitely, yeah.
That's for sure. Not only from us, from many YouTubers as well. We will get as many YouTubers as possible to actually test it out, play it, and so on. Now that is quite kind of tricky. I think the only one thing which we can do here is to have a point separately and points on a page like we have at the moment with Moto Battleground. So if we do any changes, we're gonna be playing with the points instead of actually doing lots of fixes on the cards, unless the rules are actually broken or something like this, which never happened before. But just in case, some FAQ will be obviously needed. I mean, let's be honest with us. There is no wargaming out there with no at least a few pages of FAQ, but that's that.
If your game is narrative heavy, where does it take place on the StarCraft timeline? So narrative play, we're not referring to like actual lore. The game won't be like, I'd say it'll be lore friendly, but it's not going to be like following the actual lore of the universe. So how do I explain this? Basically, we're just gonna have stuff from the lore, kind of like how co-op functions in the game. It's obviously the things that happen in co-op don't actually happen in the universe, but we'll have all sorts of characters and miniatures from the lore. Is basically what I'm saying. And narrative focus, it more implies like you're redoing like a battle that like happened, for example, in universe, versus like competitive play, which is more about tournament style, victory thing.
Okay.
I'm not sure I can explain this.
Let's move on, Szymon.
Sorry. Will the hacker be on the tabletop? Definitely, sometime in the future.
By the heroes, you mean like champions from Tycho's co-op? Yes, that's what we mean.
Yeah, for example.
That's one example.
As like a sub-faction. Have you considered the board game approach to selling the game, meaning there are only base game boxes, plural, not just one, and expansion boxes? Well, the way we're doing it is we're just releasing starter boxes for...
and then expansion boxes.
Yeah.
So it's a tabletop miniatures game, so we have to follow kind of the same idea. You have a starter box, and then if you want to just stay with the starter box, stay with the starter box. If you want to expand your army and do something else and play differently, then you can go for the additional boxes.
Something in Tabletop Simulator beta test. You think we're going to do?
We will do because we need as many playtests as possible. Okay. So there will be there. Obviously, they're going to be internal playtest first. We're going to start with the internal playtest, as we do now. But then eventually going to be closed player beta test, and then later on we will see if we can do open playtest as well.
Will we see factions that break the faction barrier, i.e. UED, that use Terran/Circ or hybrid with Mobius slaves? Yeah, as I mentioned earlier, definitely needs to be the case with something like UED.
Yep.
Also the case with Mobius, I think. Hybrid minis as well are a must, in my opinion.
Yep.
Is there a cloaking mechanic? There is one right now, yes.
There is, and also there is a battle mechanic.
Will there be objective minis like the Emotion Crystal, Side Disruptor, Terminal, or Resource Caches? We do have some things like that planned, yes. But again, we'll once we get closer to release, we'll kind of like show some of that stuff off. Really excited for the release. Will it be possible for stores to pre-order big numbers of these starter set, like 100 units? However many orders we get, that's how much we're going to make. We have a
factory here.
Yeah, we've got a factory. We have a lot of
so just like
manufacturing capabilities.
Keep the machine running for a little bit longer. So yeah, that's not the problem. I mean, supply with this game should not be a problem. That was the reason at the beginning of the presentation to show you how much stuff we have done over the years. And just recently we shipped out 55,000 individual boxes for Battleground. So Heroes Battleground. That's a lot, but it was only a month and a half production. The biggest bottleneck was getting all those tools done and packaging. So, but for packaging, we also have solution. As we building new factory here next door, there will be several different additional machines set up, and one of them is a packaging box machine and the card machine. So both machines being run for us and for our needs. So we won't have to wait for external whatever companies to provide paper content.
Between the starter box releases and the first stages of the fully playable game, do you see potential for early birds to use StarCraft minis for playing on any other, like Warhammer, BattleTech, etc. games?
I I don't know if somebody wants to make an army for 40k with StarCraft minis, then go for it.
Yeah, if you want to.
I mean, it's up to you.
You mentioned burrow models. Will there be the same for transforming units like the siege tank?
Yeah, we tested siege tank. I don't know, maybe depending how. It's all depend on the technology we're gonna be implementing for tanks, especially for siege tank.
Can you explain the reason to go with sprues and not pre-assembled minis? Yeah, so for starters, we're a HIPS manufacturing company. All the miniatures we manufacture here in-house are on sprues. It would not really, again, as we mentioned earlier, we're shifting more manufacturing here in-house to Poland, where we have a lot more control over the process. And also our miniatures, our HIPS miniatures are a lot more detailed and more durable than any stuff we can get from China.
So,
and also cheaper.
Also, well, let me start with many things. HIPS miniatures are much better than anything PVC. PVC miniatures manufacturing wise, you won't be able to make them in Europe. That's one thing. We did test it and see what's the options, but no. China is much less on regulation, so they allow to make those things. B, we don't want to make this project cannot be made in China, and it's basically coming from us. We want to make sure we have full control. I'm not going to be waiting for a product for 6-8 months on a boat with all the issues that is happening with supplying anything out of China. The third one is have a look on Legion. I mean, there's the very good case studies actually. Legion, Star Wars Legion. The first edition of Star Wars Legion was at least on PVC miniatures, which they were still to assemble. So you have them in parts and pieces. People hate it. I hated this one. The quality of PVC wasn't there, and so on. And now the transition for the Legion is actually they're going into making every single previous miniatures which they had in PVC in plastic, injection plastic, so on a sprues. And the last one is a part of hobby. So it's a part of hobby, and very important one is a tabletop miniatures game. So if you want to make any type of games, you've got to make exactly the same as the competition is making, kind of. So, and always try to aim at the big boys. So in this situation, the biggest on the market is Games Workshop. This is how they produce the product. This is what they have, and we want to supply exactly the same. So apples to apples. Otherwise, if we do something different, the first thing would be, okay, this is not the quality I'm used to it from the big boys. So yeah, there's many reasons why we want to go that way. And the last one, I think the biggest one, I don't know wargamer who so much hate any type of hobby elements in the wargaming that will need a fully assembled miniatures or pre-painted miniatures. Many companies tried before. Rackham, for instance, with Confrontation, that was the biggest mistake they did when they had great models, and all of a sudden somebody came with the idea, okay, let's now make them pre-assembled and pre-painted. Kill the game. So
will the Nova Agent unit be able to fire a nuke for the Terrans, similar to large blast area damage abilities for the Protoss / Zerg, be usable in the game? Yeah, I don't see why not.
Yeah.
Will Tychus keep Cigar?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, the graphic we used is actually Tychus without a cigar.
It's over there. This is the graphic. We probably haven't seen it ever.
Yeah, it's actually wasn't ever released. I think.
Yeah, that graphic which is on my wall, been there sitting for many years. That one over there.
Yeah, they can't see.
You won't be able, but they see the graphic. So it's without cigar. We got it from the pack from Blizzard, and I was so surprised to see that graphic because it's a sanitized graphic with no cigar. So I used that one on there, and that's one of the reasons why we actually use on the announcement, because nobody else seen it. On the banner, big banner we use on the trade shows, and then we keep using. It's got his cigar. So
Subsurian has noticed because he always noticed. That's true.
And the what?
He's just saying he noticed, but yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
How will caster units like the Medic, Templar, and Defiler work in the game and be sold? Will they be sold in boxes, say 3 medics, and then attached to squads of Marines?
So at this stage, they sold in boxes of 3, and they also have a label. I can tell you that one in a starter box. So you get them like you get some casters in the starter box just to have this feeling how the caster is going to work in a game. And they are activated separately. They're not joined to the unit. They're activated separately. Very important because it's part of mechanic to use that way to force your enemy to kind of activate them when enemy doesn't really want to activate them. Part of the game, part of the mechanic in the game.
How will you be able to make a StarCraft tabletop happen? Or how did you make this entire thing happen? I mean, it's a long story, right? I think it's fair to say this company was basically founded to make this game a reality, right?
Yeah. The first page of Archon Incorporation says "Road to StarCraft." It was kind of maybe like a meme, like a joke. I said to Michał a long time ago, you know what? I think at some point in the future we're going to be making StarCraft game. And there was many things leading to that. I mean, some of the technology here developed, clear plastic injection. Everything else was just designed for that because I was thinking, okay, what else we need for StarCraft? What else will we need for StarCraft? And back in 2019, I managed to get in touch with Blizzard team. And yeah, so it's been 6 years in making. 6 years.
Michał's in the chat as well.
Yeah, 6 years in making. So we are... with some turbulences, obviously, because this game meant to be released a few years ago, but there was a slightly turbulences. You might know what happened, and then we just come back to discussion right now with a fresh new team and everything else with new approach. So that's great. But yeah.
Is there any chance that the StarCraft board games you will be releasing include a re-release or new edition of the previous Fantasy Flight title from 2007?
That is one of the things we are considering, yes.
Now, I know what I would prefer, but, for those that play any LOTR mods on the StarCraft arcade or in Warcraft 3, I'd love to see something like that as a board game.
Yeah, so the Archon actually coming from... Archon is 2 Templars merging, so it's myself and Michał kind of story, kind of business story. So yeah. It was like, I don't know. I think it meant to be like that. Otherwise we wouldn't be talking about the StarCraft today. Yeah.
Will the board game use the same models as the war game? No. Like that's completely different scale.
Different scale, and also the board game would require assembled miniatures. So part of future technology here in house is to find a way of making models, one-piece models. I have some ideas how to do it on injection, so that's something we're going to be working towards once we have the Tabletop Miniatures game out. And it's full part of the package of having full manufacturing here in Poland and in Europe instead of China.
Will we see Tosh and Spectres as units 100%?
So StarCraft in 26, board game in 2027, Warcraft in 2028.
Yeah, lots of people asking for Warcraft.
Yep. I mean, if we do well, I think there won't be no problem with... Maybe, I don't know. We didn't have this discussion whatsoever, just don't get me wrong, but we didn't have discussion about the Warcraft yet. But, we have all the means. I've been saying this one on one of the AMAs, and this is what I keep repeating constantly. In Apple, there was one of the Apple engineers say a long time ago that if you want to make your own hardware, you have to make your own software, right? Because that combines very well as a package, as a business. So here is the same story with us. If you want to make your own war game, you've got to have your own manufacturing. And this is something I'm gonna need downstairs on the wall like that, because that's the reality. If you want to make a great war game, make sure you've got the product and everything on time, and so on and so on. You've got to have your own manufacturing in-house, because otherwise you won't be able to manage that. That's, you manage for maybe first 5-6 releases, and all of a sudden everything will fall apart because there are going to be so many SKUs and so on, so on, so on.
Yeah, Primal Zugs, definitely.
Oh yes, man. Oh yes.
You mentioned things that are in Blizzard catalog as available. Does this include the many unique units and models from the cancelled Ghost game? So the Ghost game, it's not official canon, unfortunately.
Yep.
So I don't think we'll be able to use that, even though the asset's already made.
Exactly. There was a discussion we had here internally when we gone through the project documentation paperwork. We had so many nice references we could use for miniatures, but then they're not official canon, so shame. No, spells won't have their separate custom dice. I aiming at having spells having their own custom made
templates,
miniatures, not miniatures, the effects, like and so on, so on. So that's that.
I run an army of only defilers. Can I run an only
for fun?
Yeah, for fun if you want to. Yeah,
for fun, sure.
Will there be any buildings / structures in play, or more of a classic wargame?
Classic wargame.
But again, mechanically, it'll be very different to something like 40k. We do have a gradual escalation system in the form of supply. So you just get more and more supply as the game goes, and you can field more and more units, or bigger units as well.
Yeah. These escalation games, I like it a lot. I like much better escalation games than de-escalation games, let's say. Because when you play, longer you play on de-escalation game, you have less options on the table, and the game became less exciting. When you have
I feel like I brainwashed you. I sent this idea right into your head.
Yes,
because
you basically said this idea in my head.
I said that 1-to-1 a couple of years ago when we were making the first concepts for this game. This is exactly what I said.
Yeah. So, but actually looking from any tabletop, any miniatures games, no, sorry, even card games like Magic the Gathering, it's also escalation game. You start, is boring. During this, halfway through, you feel excitement because you have tools to play, and then towards the end of the game, you still have tools to play, and so on, so on. So,
I mean, StarCraft is exactly like this as well. You get more and more tools as the game progresses.
Exactly, and the game is engaging, constantly engaging. I mean, last round we played, it was like, who's gonna win? You remember?
Yeah.
Well, we got you in the end, but it was close call, which I like. I like closed call in the games because this is the most exciting games. Yeah.
How will the flying units be represented? Directly on the ground or on transparent supports like GW? Transparent supports.
Yep.
Was creep mentioned? Yes, there will be creep tumor tokens, which you can eventually spread across the table.
Plastic.
Yeah.
So, question for the board game. Yes, I think the board game. We don't have anything like created for the board game yet. We only have like a let's say concept in our not even on the paper. But anything which is building, anything which is base building, and everything else like that, it needs to be in a board game. We cannot have that one in a board game.
Will the Terran Battlecruiser and the Protoss Mothership be available as a future release? I personally love that. I don't think they would fit on the 30mm scale though.
Yeah.
Hey, keep the suggestions coming. Maybe we'll be able to make it a reality if enough people want it. Just affirmations. You have to keep thinking of it. Maybe it'll happen someday. I know we don't need a base, but if you release gateways and pylons and minis for terrain, I will buy them.
Oh yeah, we need them. Yes, we need them. I think every single starter box will have some portion of terrain anyway. So when we look at having a starter box for Protoss, there needs to be either pylon or something similar. And bear in mind, it's everything, all the terrain we're going to be releasing, it's going to be themed to the game, obviously. It needs to be to IP. So that's that. And for the big things like Mothership, how about we're gonna make if you have a look on our product line, if you have a look on something we call Dungeons and Lasers, and then the portion of lasers of it, how about we create interior of the Mothership, and you play inside the Mothership instead of having the Mothership or battle cruiser on a table. Obviously, subject to change.
Will there be potentially be a function for a campaign crossover between the board game and the war game, enabling base building in some fashion for the war game?
No, I don't think so.
They would have to be completely separate entities,
Exactly.
I think.
Yeah. Yep, that's correct. You need to construct additional pylons. That's what we're currently doing.
What is the biggest unit we can expect to have in the game? Probably the Ultralisk.
We have it in office. We do have the original board game in office.
Yep.
Which is not ours, it's Swavex, right? That's Swavex.
It is Swavex, yeah.
I don't know that one yet. We're thinking about that one to have a Templars merging into Archon. So maybe we can leave that one mechanic in place there. Should be in there. I mean, this is so much StarCraft.
Will there be a mechanic for splash damage, i.e. from Archon/Lurker? Definitely.
Yes. And this is what is in a dice we have in a dice mechanic, because that dice mechanic allows us to actually create all the effects from the game, which is crazy. You wouldn't expect that, but it is. But I think that would require an entire different discussion. Today we just want to answer just basic questions.
Can you speak to the terrain? Will it be sold separately? So there will be some terrain in the starter boxes, but terrain will probably have to be sold separately as well.
It will be. Additional line of terrain needs to be sold separately.
Mm-hmm.
But not okay. So not only terrain, there will be some additional elements in that one available to play, either co-op play or other things. So you're not going to be only paying just for terrain in the box.
What about turn mines? If you mean widow mines, then they are planned, yeah.
How about the vulture mines? They were nasty last time we played.
How can we expect the creep marker for Zerg? Will it be like a small marker or a surface, or maybe clear plastic showing the spread of their influence? Right now it's mainly just planned as a small token, and you just measure out distance from
Plastic token.
From the token, yeah.
Yeah. So at the moment it's a plastic token. Most of the things we want to make, it's going to be plastic injection. I don't want to see any tokens on a table. Do we have any tokens in the game? No, we don't have no tokens in the game, really. Yeah. One of the things, I just came back from Adepticon and I was walking around the tables and taking lots of photos just for my understanding how the tables looks when you play the game. And many of the games which include tokens, they were over-tokenized. There was tons of tokens, sometimes even more tokens on the table, status tokens and everything else than miniatures. And that doesn't look good. And then managing this one takes more time to manage all your tokens, everything, than your miniatures. Now you have 3-4 miniatures on the table and 20 tokens. So no tokens. The only one thing, we're gonna have plastic ones, and then we can use for, for Zerg or, yeah.
What sort of price point are we looking at for this? GW is about $700 to $1,000 for an army. How much can we expect to spend on a medium to large size army? GW is also $60 for one terrain piece.
Oh, that much more less. That's much more less, because GW much less than this.
Yeah.
So again, it's difficult to compare to Games Workshop because it's a completely different game. It's a mass battle game with a high scale, so you have to spend that 1,000. If you go and have a look on the cost for Combat Patrol, because that's what we're aiming at. Combat Patrol maybe a little bit on the steroids. That's the level you're gonna have to spend it. So yeah, I mean, you can look at our games. You can look at our things. We're really making things very affordable for what we charge. For the content we provide. Sorry, that's what I meant. Yes, the mechanic of the Fog of War will be implemented. So the way it is, you play in a smaller table, and the Fog of War works the way that you get your units on the table from different angles. So it might be from the back line, side lines, even from the front line, depending how you activate the unit. So that will be your fog of war. And the enemy doesn't know what type of unit you're actually going to be introducing on the table, because you don't have to pre-announce that one. You don't have to tell them what exactly you have in your army. So what is great about it, we sit down by the table, we start playing the game. Obviously, you create your army before the game starts, so you have your army list. But what you're going to bring on the first round, second round, and third round, it's basically up to you. What do you need for that moment, you can bring it. So that's the difference as well, comparing to any other miniatures games. The date for pre-order, I think, is last quarter. Maybe looking at last quarter of this year.
Q4 2025.
Yep, that's what I think. I think all the kind of spells, they should have their own plastic token. I have a Kerrigan there with some thingies done for plastic, clear plastic. Okay. Exactly. So it's a zoom in kind of portion of the map when you play video game. So like a centerpiece of the map when we all fight, and then all the things which is coming from the edge of the map, this is your fog of war. You don't see nothing, what is out there, and everything might actually be put on a table.
With no tokens and minimal re-rolling, what mechanisms are you implementing for interesting combat? I love the simplicity, but I'm curious how you create interesting decision spaces.
Explain the activation cards.
So at the beginning of every turn, both players place one card. For starters, both players have a hand of cards. Kind of like a deck of cards that they draw from, and these cards have various effects, they have various initiatives, but both players play their card, and then they reveal them, and then the player with the currently lowest initiative, that player indicates a model that they then activate.
Your unit.
Oh, your unit, yeah, sorry. Your unit that you then activate. And with that, you have a various number of action points on these cards. So generally speaking, lower initiative cards, the ones that go first, they have less actions, but they obviously go sooner. And then there are obviously higher initiative cards with more action points or stronger abilities. And in general, these cards, they have all sorts of various interesting effects. Like, there's like a 3 initiative card that's called All In. It gives you 4 action points, which is a lot. But it also makes it so you can't take any defense tests. So anything that hits, it hits your model immediately, and you don't get to defend. There's like some cards like they let you lift up units and drop them off somewhere else. Other ones that gives you like bonuses on creep. There's like a whole bunch of other ones.
Yeah.
And you can also use these action cards as well in your hand to, for example, boost another unit, for example.
Yeah. So
there's like a ton of possibilities.
In a design way, it means that the game is very unpredictable. I mean, well, not very, but it's basically unpredictable. So when you play enemy, you can do exactly the same to enemy. You can always surprise them, and that is great about this game, because when you have very experienced players sitting by the table, the game at some point became very boring, because I know what you're going to do, I know what I want to do, and vice versa. So here, with a kind of random additional rules which you'll find on the cards, which are available for both players, you can have some tricky bits. So there's a pre-measuring in the game, so you may pre-measure the table and okay, I'm safe now, my units are safe, but are you really safe? You really don't know what type of card the enemy is going to use to activate its squad. Maybe actually is going to be able to reach you, so you have to take many things in consideration. Now, these cards also work in some cases as Overwatch cards, so kind of Overwatch, which means you can react to enemy activations. So an enemy activate the unit, and there are some cards saying, okay, play this card with the enemy units within 8 inches and do X, Y, Z. So, and basically this is very important because you have only 5 of these cards. This is extremely valuable resource because you can activate up to 5 units. You can burn those cards to activate other units or boosted other unit with additional actions. But when you run out of cards for this round, you're not going to be able to activate more units. Mm-hmm. So it's again self-balancing how many units I will be able to activate during the activation.
Yeah, the short form answer is it functions kind of like APM, where you can focus more on a single unit to get more out of it, or you can split it more across various other units.
Exactly. So you're gonna get that feeling like from the video game. Yeah. So I will spend my time now. I don't have to activate it, but then I have more clicks. So yeah. Cool.
Speaking of Overwatch Tabletop in 2023, Savik did actually come to me with this idea.
Really?
Yeah, I personally love it. I'm a huge fan of Overwatch. I've been playing since beta, pretty much, actually. And Overwatch was actually my first shooter on the PC.
Yeah.
Before that, I was just playing Call of Duty and Battlefield on the console.
Yeah. So we do have something implemented, especially for Marines when they activate the Steam Pack. So we have non-lethal
wounds. Yeah.
Non-lethal wounds. This means you just allocate the wounds to the unit. But even if you reach the threshold units per model, you don't remove the models. So that will allow them to get healed later on and remove those tokens. Well, tokens, basically those wounds allocated to the unit. So. We do have something like that. So we're trying to do as much as possible, take as much as rules from the video game and implement into tabletop.
Yes, there's a question. Will there be deck building, or do units decide cards? There will be deck building, yes. The units don't decide what cards are in your deck, but you can build your deck around that if you want to. So there is it does implement some more list building, but I also feel like this is probably like the best part of games like this, where you can really sit down for even the entire day, just planning on what you want to include in your deck. I know I've spent an inordinate amount of time planning my commander decks back in the day.
And to be honest, we did try several different activations. We did try activation on dice. We did try activation, so like a dice from bolt action, similar to bolt action idea. We did try alternative activation. The alternative activation is great, but then it's totally unbalanced when you have uneven number of units. Then we did try activation on basic initiative. Then we tried activation on initiative when you have just basically like a dial. You select the initiative and see how it works. We tested like 4 or 5 different ideas. And then the only one idea which we all feel here actually works is this one on the cards. So not like we haven't tested. We for this game, for this mechanic, and for what we want to achieve, it's actually perfect. But again, obviously subject to change.
Will there be a Dominion army with Arcturus Mengsk as its leader? Maybe one with Alarak and the Tal'Darim. So the way I see it is, obviously the Dominion needs to be a sub-faction. I wouldn't see Arcturus Mengsk as a miniature. I would more see him... Well, I guess technically he could command the Dominion from NORAD 3 if we ever do decide to add battlecruisers into the game, if we do.
Yeah. I think there is a World of Warcraft tabletop RPG. I think there is. Or maybe, there was a long time ago. If you have a look on the Board Game Geek, you will probably find a link to it.
Maybe a stupid question. Round-based gameplay or real-time?
No, it's not stupid. It's basically round-based.
Yeah,
so round-based.
It's, semi-alternate activation. Basically, both players just play a card which has an initiative on it. Both players reveal the card. The player that wins the initiative battle, they go first, and then the other player activates their unit.
Yep.
Could always do an Imperial Witness from co-op with Arcturus on a screen. Definitely. That's also a possibility.
Okay. Right. I think we're going to be wrapping up. It's been an hour and 50 minutes. We're losing our voices slowly.
I'm fine. I can go for a couple more hours.
But I'm old. Yeah. So what's next steps? The next steps are, again, if you're watching and you're still here, please subscribe to the channel, because that will you will be notified whenever we're gonna go live again.
No pictures of an actual miniature. I just want to
Hey?
It says there's a comment. No pictures of actual miniature. I just want to guide you to the pre-page. Can you maybe show them the pre-page quickly?
Won't be able to show them pre-page without breaking something, but where's the first page? The first page is probably here. So go to a starcraft-tmg.com. That's our new landing page. You can sign up there for a sign up there, for news. And yeah, anything about StarCraft in terms of lives, they're gonna be happening on Saturdays. I don't know which one is next one, so I need to see how many materials I'll be able to gather and how much openly we're gonna be able to talk about that. I still have to take that one through the licensor. But please expect one within 3, maybe 4 weeks, something like that. At least to show you basics, and maybe then we'll show you some miniatures and explain more about the approach in terms of what we want to do with the minis and how we want them to be amazing on the table, basically. So, what else? Do you want to add something, Szymon?
As always, if you have any questions, please feel free to mention me on our Discord server. I'm always open to answering questions, especially about this game, of course.
Yeah.
But yeah, just ping me, send me a DM if you want to.
Yeah, and then in normally we do those ask me anything every 2 weeks. I'll try to include some maybe info there from about StarCraft if I have it on hand. But we do that to update our current customers on the projects we have, and it's just basically business rumbles and me talking about different type of approaches to the business. And if you want to listen to that, then you may join me every 2 weeks. Anyway, thank you again, and see you I think soon.
Yep, thank you for coming by. Bye.